Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the third part of the ICATOR fundraising appeal. We were just cut off. I'm very, very, very sorry about that, but then it's just part of the course. And we just elegantly, system judoed it and have set up a new live stream. And in the previous 5 minutes, Melanie just thanked our biggest donor, Anne, who has got us 80% to our fundraising target. And we also thank other donors who really helped us, get to the 80%, and we are almost there. So we are coming online to complete the fundraising, hopefully in the coming few days or the next week, hopefully, because we would like to relaunch the human non-consensual body implant scanning at the Belgian University. So, those of, I can see that 11 people have managed to migrate across, and thank you so very much for joining us again. We're really, really sorry about the interruption. This is just part of the things that we are doing. In the interval, by the way, that has caused incredible amusement to Melanie and me, because in the brief interval, I had time to look at the chat and I noticed that trolls were screaming their head off. So I had to throw out one troll already before people came online. A troll that seems to be curiously monitoring my account and starts hurling abuse at me as soon as I set up a new stream. And then during the chat, there was another troll that was, I think, entirely dedicated to screaming at us how crazy we are, and so on and so on. So given that this is the trolls' biggest ammo that they think they can still throw at us, even though we have already worked with the Belgian University, we have worked with the professor. We do have 2 scanning reports. We're just trying to refine the scanning protocol. I would like to show you some evidence of why this is so important of what we're doing. And this is exactly where I was interrupted previously. So let me just share my screen. I can see that, yes, in the new video, the troll has migrated across. And, you guys can actually see, and you can look at the the chat and find out who the troll is. By the way, when these things happen and you find these accounts hurling abuse, not just at us, because I will take care of them, but there are many, many other victims who are coming forward with the horrific things that are being done to them. If you happen to watch their live stream, or if you happen to be on their platform, it really pays to actually shout these trolls down, And then what also really, really pays is then to have a look at this person's account and screenshot all the comments, and screenshot also, if you click on the account, you can see the account ID, which is a very long number, and screenshot that and put that in your court case, put it into your evidence, because that's also evidence for trying to disrupt the victims getting help, and trying to disrupt them coming forward by terrorizing them with this incredible abuse. So anybody who takes these trolls seriously is really psychologically damaged, and that will get damaged. And that's the entire point. And that is absolutely unconscionable. We already know from the, I think it was the Edward Snowden leaks, that it was a GCHQ, so British Digital Intelligence Agency, who has been shown to actually run paid troll factories where absolute morons are paid to hurl abuse at people. So this is all coming from the intelligence agencies. And when it's about something like chipping and the non-consensual chipping by them of the civilian population, in the most criminal fashion, of course, they're going to, throw all the ammo they have at us. But the best strategy is to laugh and then to also screenshot them and use it as evidence in court. So let me now show you.
Just to add, this particular troll is on every broadcast we're doing, which has to do with non-consensual human experimentation, non-consensual microchipping, and also getting the scientific evidence for these crimes in scanning people. So we're already used to that. I'm mostly just ignore that, but it will in no way stop our efforts, and will absolutely not be intimidated or impressed by that at all. And as Katherine said, there are really paid troll pools that are paid to basically disrupt truth shows like ours, and intimidate and discourage people or discredit people. Catherine said it comes from the intelligence services. Yes, that is true. But what we must stress is that above all, it comes from the taxpayer, because it is actually your money that is paying for all this. So this is one important point and example of corruption, system corruption, I think that we need to highlight.
Absolutely.
So to come back to what we're doing today, or is that we need indeed still an amount to be able to set the scanning up. And I hope that we'll be able to raise that today. Once again, thanks to Anne and also various smaller donors for having already gotten us where we currently are. And we're really, really not far from the objective. So I'm really pleased about that.
I'm actually really excited because the timing is also perfect. So because the last time we were at the university, it was actually October 2017, and the reason why we got so delayed is partially with what happened to Melanie, and then also they started attacking me. So I had to flee my home in Zurich, and I was in Hungary for over a month trying to get protection from these attacks, which in the end I didn't get, but that's another story. But now we are very, very excited to actually be here and have this, because there are active court cases running. There's the court case of Siegfried Thomas in Biel that I'm involved with, and there's the court case of Frederic Laroche in Grenoble. And in both cases, it would be absolutely seminal if we could prove that these people are non-consensually implanted, which from Frederic, I already have seen evidence that he is. And I rather suspect that all victims of the Secret Services, the first thing that they do is implant people. And they also implant people who are not victims of the Secret Services. But I would like to show you the evidence, what makes me so confident. So I hope that this time the broadcast isn't terminated. So I wanted to show you, number one, for those who join us fresh, if you go to my website, Stop 007, at the moment under news, you will find a link here to the case of Frederic Laroche, okay? On other days, you find him under court cases. And this is the case I'm involved in. And now I'm allowed to publish the footage where he is scanning himself. So briefly, I just showed that in the beginning, he uses one measuring device, the green thing, the one that he's holding up to measure the background. And the second device is a bug detector, a professional bug detector used by private investigators that can also pick up these human body chips. And he actually shows how the chip is showing, something when it's close to his head and where the chips are, and then it shows nothing when he holds it away from his body. So you can watch this video and then also know that this is not the only video that exists about this sort of illegal chipping. There's also a case from the US, which is public here on, this is actually Oregon. So from October 2017 as well, she is using exactly the very same make and model, and she showed that she has non-consensual implants in her ears that are emitting frequencies. So this is, I encourage you to have a look at the YouTube channel of Erika Meyer here. And when you just type in non-consensual implants, you will find many, many, many other examples, but you will also find an entire series that I have made where I am scanning my entire body systematically, and I'm showing how you can do the same thing. If you scroll down, this is my YouTube channel, and you will find all this sort of stuff. But if you go down to Nazi implant detection, right? If you have a look at that, you can see an entire series whereby I am scanning, first of all, an implant that was fresh in my navel last June, put in by Swiss Intel, but also my legs and, most of my body parts here. And I'll show all these different things. Now, this is one thing that you should know, is that these sort of programs have been running for a very, very, very long time. So extremely large number of people have been non-consensually implanted. In my case, it was actually Melanie who found the first body chips. So she saw laser surgery scars on my forehead, which I've never noticed, but she really has an eye for this, and on my neck. And she found the chip in my neck. Usually at the neck and at the back of the head or the top of the head, the chips are very, very powerful. So these seem to be main emitters. kind of controlling the other chips, and the other chips, the entire network is called a body area network. So when you're looking up research papers, for example, to back up your court case, look under the keyword body area network, a BAN. You will find the communication protocols in a science paper. And actually on the communication protocols, let me show you, because that's actually an important paper and dispels everybody who thinks that this isn't true. So if you go to my website, start from my website, stop007, .org, and then scroll down to the FAQ, that's this guy here sitting on the question mark, you will find, if you scroll down to info pack, you can use the shortcut. There are documents, all the important documents that you might be interested in, not all, some important documents. And here is the scientific paper on body area networks, where they're comparing different ones. So this one here is called Communication Challenges in On-Body and Body-to-Body Wearable Wireless Networks. Now, they call it wearable as if you had a choice, but the truth is that the long-term goal is to have it implanted.
Yeah, it's rather implantable.
Exactly. It's
implanted.
Already, wearable, you're already wearing it and you can't get rid of it. But in this paper, there's this diagram explaining how this entire system works. And you can see body-to-body communication. These little men are already implanted. And you can see that the implants are everywhere. You know, leg, ankle, shoulder, wrists, arm, everything. And they've got many, many chips. And they're communicating among each other and with external networks like Wi-Fi and others, right? And then you also have your internal body communication, you know, within one system. But in this scientific paper, which you can find, they also talk about here, down here, the communication protocols. And these are wireless network communication protocols, right? So they compare Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and so on. And here's the band standard, BAN. And they show you also the frequency band. So while Wi-Fi is at 2.4, you know, microwave frequencies and 5 gigahertz, here they've got an entire palette, including Wi-Fi. So when you're measuring your body chips, you expect to find this distribution of frequencies, and that's exactly what we see. So my body area network is in the area between 400 and 500. So it's this one. That's the one that was measured in Belgium. Other people have higher ones. You know, this here is mobile phone communication traffic, you know, and so on and so on. And other people who maybe use a different protocol also have lower frequencies. Okay, so it's all, unfortunately, sadly, true. And I would also like to point you to the fact that I have pulled out this graphic, and you're welcome to download these things and put them into your court cases. Okay, so that's just to explain that everything that we're doing has already plenty of evidence.
Yeah, and talking about court cases, I think it's good when we give people like really visual examples of court cases that have already happened. Last time, I'm now saying this for the new viewers, we showed the two cases of James Walbert and Richard Cain. Richard Cain is a lawyer himself, and also his two children have been implanted. Non-consensually, his whole family actually, and so I think in his case we showed last time that you could actually see the implants in his chest, and of course there was also a problem of fraudulent concealment, which means that he was told that his scans were totally normal and there was nothing out of the ordinary, and when he actually ordered them he could see these implants. Well, he in this case is lucky, because normally the nanotechnology is not detectable with CT scans or MRIs, which means the usual detection methods that we usually have available in our hospitals. In his case, you can see them. And from what I know about James Walbert, this was, I think, an inventor out of Wichita, Kansas. And he actually managed to prove who implanted and radiated him, attacked him with microwave weapon. And he was able to get an arrest warrant against his aggressor. And I think the guy's looking at some time or so, or is already in prison. I'm not sure. So this is an important case, I think, because it's like a landmark case that he actually won.
Let me bring up in the background while you're talking. Let me share my screen. So I'm just gonna, you know what? You can talk. I'm just gonna share my screen and focus the main image on the on these cases. So you mentioned the first one is if people search for Richard Cain, spelled C-A-I-N, and implants, you will find all these YouTube videos with interviews on him. You already can see the chest X-rays, and if you click on the first link. Here you can find the actual images. So here is the image of the X-ray, and I think you can also blow up these images. And there are many, many images actually showing the X-rays and showing where he has been implanted.
Yeah.
Okay. So here, this is all just medical data. So this was Richard Cain was the lawyer, you said?
Yes. Yes. Correct. And his whole family was implanted. So his former partner, the mother of his 2 sons, and the children as well. So this is really quite a shocking case. And there's also this is James Walbert. So people can see he's done various TV and radio programs as well, talking about his case. He was also one of the most documented cases, I think, at the Bioethics Commission that President Obama organized. Not that there was anything that came out of it, but it is a very well documented case and a proven case. And then I think there's another case that is interesting because of a gentleman that is called Bob Boyce.
Yeah, sorry, forgive me for interrupting. I've just seen that James Walbert is also featured in Wired magazine.
Yeah, correct.
So that is James Walbert. You can find him here, first of its kind order of protection, banning Redford from using electronic means to further harass Walbert. Absolutely. And you will find very, very, it's lots of excellent information. And then forgive me, you were saying there's a third case. I was saying
there's another case that was interesting. It's another inventor, I think, out of Georgia, I believe. He's called Bob Boyce. So Bob, B-O-B, and Boyce, yeah, exactly. And he was actually implanted with 2 microchips, and every time at the location where he had been implanted and where the microchips were then surgically removed, there had been a tumor developing. So because of course this is really it puts the victim's health at great risk of developing cancer. I think this is actually the tumor that was removed. You can see all this. So exactly. This is just to show, well, actually documented cases, court cases, and to show our viewers that this is not something science fiction we're talking here, and so on, because this is really happening, and there have been various court cases already, and some of these devices have been surgically removed. What concerns myself, I think Katherine can confirm that, because she was actually the one who took the foreign body that was surgically removed from my throat here in Belgium. She took it to Switzerland and had it analyzed in a specialized laboratory. Maybe Katherine, you could add to that a little bit. And so I'm also one of the cases where there was actually a foreign body already removed that was non-consensually placed in my throat.
I'm just looking up. So what I'm doing is we have featured the implant. I've shown the implant and I've shown the measurement results on the Technocrime Fighters Forum. I just always forget which episode it was, but I will find it very, very quickly. And I think it's the one where even the front image shows the implant, if I'm right.
Yeah, there is a picture of it that you took where it was placed under the microscope, I think, in the lab.
Exactly. So I'm hang on a second. If you give me 1 second, the one while I'm looking, I've got a question. Did you not also mention it was called the Baranov family or something like that?
Yes, that is I think a Russian family that was, at the time it was still the KGB. Yeah. They were attacked by the KGB and harassed, and they also went, I think they had a court case that even went to the European Court Human Rights in Strasbourg, and actually won there. And then the whole family moved to California, if I'm not mistaken. But this was already, I wonder if it was not the 80s or 90s already, and it's called Baranov family. But it has more to do with actually harassment, like organized stalking. They were poisoned various times as well. I'm not so sure that it was also concerning non-consensual microchipping in this case, but they were definitely victims of the intelligence services in Russia. And
Excellent.
after winning the court case, they had to flee and leave the country.
Yeah. So and basically what this shows us is that the KGB and the CIA and all the other MI6 and German intel, everybody is using the same methods and seem to be engaged in the same sort of programs. Meanwhile, I have found the episode. It's episode 26. Let me just share my screen. Episode 26 of the so-called Techno Crime Fighters Forum, which is our English language forum happening Thursdays, starting at 11 East Coast time in the US. And in episode 26, which is called Implanted Strangulator, an Air Force serial killer, we're talking about two cases. Number one, the Strangulator is your case, and the Air Force serial killer is the tormentor of our colleague, Dr. Melissa Black. But here, in this episode at 22 minutes, I'm holding up the implant. So you can actually see me, I've come back from Switzerland. This was broadcast on the 20th of September. And you can see me show this throat implant that was operated out of Melanie's throat here. And it was put onto this little test bed, which I then took to Switzerland. I show my thumb how big this is. This originally, when it was taken out, it was 3.5 centimeters by 1.5 centimeters by 1.5 centimeters. And 1.5 centimeters is the size of a sugar cube. Okay. So this is huge. And we should also say that the second half of this implant remains in your throat. And then I should also say that here, later on, I show the measurement results. Okay.
Yeah, this is for what I think is interesting for our viewers.
Absolutely. So what I have done is, I think, do I show the image where there's also an image where it shows that the very same implant was put into an X-ray fluorescence device. And in the X-ray fluorescence device, I'm analyzing different parts and these big blocks. So what we found is there were big black blocks and white fibers in it. And it turns out the big black blocks are mostly iron. But later on, the white fibers, hang on here, the white fibers that go through are titanium. And there's this huge peak for titanium. And the measurement was conducted by Dr. Emilia Borka and myself at the Paul Scherer Institute in Switzerland.
Sorry, Camelia Borka, I think.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Camelia Borka. Yes, forgive me. Yes, that's right. And this is what we found, and this entire implant is entirely transfused with these titanium fibers. It is just through and through. And when you look at it under the microscope, it really looks like this is like a block of iron transfused with worms. But the worms are entirely, I mean, here you can see these different structures. Some have got different composition, but most of these white fibers are titanium, and there's no naturally occurring titanium in the body, certainly not in these quantities in the structure. So it automatically proves that what was in Melanie's throat is a synthetic implant. As it happens, Melanie, you also know who built this. You even know whose patent this is and who built it, because wasn't it the University of Twente that has the patent? And wasn't
yes, it's one of the university where one of the sites where this kind of technology is fabricated. There are others, and I know this from expert in these technologies and nanopathologies. So this was really very interesting, and the symptoms I had or the complaints were excruciating pain, and then I felt more and more strangulated, and more and more difficulties to breathe. It was really a very scary and painful affair, I must say, and I'm really glad I found a surgeon that was able to remove it. However, not knowing what he was going to remove. I certainly kept my mouth shut and did not tell him what I suspected he was going to remove. He thought he was going to remove a body, a cyst, you know, and it turns out it wasn't quite a cyst. And so, yeah, and thanks to Katherine, we could analyze this and analyze it in the specialized laboratory in Switzerland. And these are the results. So to be able, so we have here just shown really documented cases, including mine, that these crimes, the non-consensual implantation is a fact, is a documented fact. And with the support of our viewers tonight, I really hope that we can raise the sufficient, the remaining amount, so that we will be able to organize the measurements in the controlled environment very quickly. I would like to do it over the summer also, because in the universities there's more time available. During the summer months there's not so much going on, so I hope that the scientists with whom we're working will be able to dedicate their full attention, let's say, to our project, provided, of course, we will able to raise the remaining 20% of the amount that we need. So if we can raise, let's say, all in all, 500 euros more, then we're sure that we'll be able to organize the scanning and not run ICATOR in the ground, so to speak, because we always need a little bit of security margin to be able to function. Yeah. But yeah, and once again, thank you very much to Anne that has brought us so far, and also a few other little donors that that also contributed. So absolutely, thanks very much. And maybe, Katherine, you could show how people can donate if they want to help us.
Absolutely. So I also wanted to say thank you and welcome to all the new members of ICATOR, because I guess every single time we make this outreach, there are new members. And I guess one of the things we can say is that what we are setting up is meant to be really, so this is what we're going for, is to have a serious university with a professor whom we really trust, because I had always the best impressions of him and his assistants. They were genuinely trying to help us. And that's, I mean, if anybody understands what's currently happening in the world, that's already rare. So but what we would like to do is to set up an actual center where we can take victims, and they could come to Belgium and then be scanned and also leave with an actual scanning report that is valid for court. This is a very highly regarded university, a very highly regarded professor. So, you know, whatever his expert opinion in the report is going to count very, very much. And we already have seen, so this university has produced 2 reports already, and I can assure you they are really of the highest standard. So, you know, it is really impressive. So what we want to do with them, for those who are new, so what are our plans? I will show you how to donate. Just let me explain. Is we would like to do it in 2 steps. So the university has supported us at their own expense for these 2 scanning sessions, and now they have said that, well, you know, per day of scanning they need 1,200 euros. So we also, meanwhile, know that we have to work with the professor to really refine the measurement protocol. And that's because they have never ever seen anything like this before. Okay, so they are geared towards measuring the electromagnetic emissions from machinery and this sort of stuff, and some biomedical tests, but they haven't seen the sort of body chip stuff. So we would like to refine it so that we can maybe even pinpoint the chips much better and measure their frequencies correctly. And this university has a Faraday room, not just a cage, an actual Faraday room with lots of space where we can measure people. And Melanie and I need to spend a day working with the professor to set up this entire procedure for how to identify the chips and really refine this so that then we can go into production. So what we're trying to raise money for is really to do this work with the professor. I have to travel to Brussels from Zurich for that. And then we need to work with him for a day. And then once we have that nailed down, we want to go into production. So then we would like to organize scanning sessions. And the idea is that, you know, people can come and be scanned and hopefully pay, you know, a small fee that they can just come and have it done, but leave with an actual, certified court document. So in the fee would be your scanning and the report, which also has to be written. So this is what we are working towards. Now,
yes, this is indeed the project. So once we have, Katherine and I spent one entire day with the professors, working with them to actually agree on the master protocol, then what the agreement is with this university, indeed, that we can bring regularly bigger groups and scan all the ICATOR members, and actually have them leave, as Katherine says, with a paper that will be valid scientific evidence and actually count in court.
absolutely.
So that will hold water.
Exactly.
This is what we need to, well, finally provide the victims and their families with justice. This is what we want. And the university is fully on board. It's just that these tests cost money, and the best way to be able to finance them is indeed asking our viewers for donations, and that will be used for this purpose only.
Absolutely. So let me share my screen and show you how you can donate. So there are two ways to donate. So if you, I would like to point you to the website of ICATOR. So it's ICATOR.be, or else if you're watching over YouTube, you can go into the description of the video and there should be a link. I might have to copy and paste it for the new version that I've just set up on the quick, but it should be there. There should be the bank details of ICATOR and also the link to GoFundMe. And these are the two ways to donate. So if you go to the website, you will see an interview here with RT about, remote neural monitoring and these implants. But if you go to the top here, you will find a link here under GoFundMe. So if you are in the US, probably the easiest way to donate is to use GoFundMe and click donate now, which takes you through to the ICATOR website. And you can just click on this link, which should appear in English for you if you're in the in the US. And then alternatively, if you are, excuse me, if you are in Europe, there's an even cheaper way, because GoFundMe keeps 5% of all the donations, which isn't much, but when you're trying to collect sizable amounts of money, it can add up. So if you are in Europe, the best way is to go to Join Us, and here you can find the bank details of ICATOR down here. And in the Eurozone, certainly the cheapest thing, which actually should be for free, is a direct bank transfer. So you just donate by doing a direct bank transfer to the ICATOR bank account. And the entire point is that, we are trying to, this is a registered charity. We have to, make the accounts. And we also want to give people the knowledge that they know where their money is going. So, once the accounts are signed off and completed with the Belgian administration, we can also show you what this money was used for. So there's the idea is to account for everything publicly. So this is the as I said, once more, the bank details, you will find them on the ICATOR website under Join Us. And the link next to it is the GoFundMe, which takes you to the GoFundMe page. And you just click there, and then you click on Donate Now, which takes you through to the GoFundMe page proper, where you can, again, press Donate here, and then you can enter how much you would like to donate. Okay, so this is how it is. And in the meantime, I also want to show one more thing, because I have, is it here? Yes, I have found a bigger picture of the throat implant that was in Melanie's throat. And I just would like to complete it because we were talking about it earlier. Here, I also found in my witness testimony that I've submitted to Melanie's court case, a photograph of the Orbis machine. That's the X-ray fluorescence machine. And here you can see the little throat implant right there in the machine. This is where I took it in Switzerland. You can see it's the very same shape. And then the smoking gun plot is actually down here, I think on the next page. This one here, which is this X-ray fluorescence results obtained with the Orbis machine, showing a huge peak for titanium. And this is the fingerprint, so to speak, in the, excuse me, in the X-ray fluorescence spectrum. Every single atom has a fingerprint, so telltale humps here, and the big hump here is the background. And depending on where these peaks are, you can identify what the atomic composition is of the material that you're looking at. very, very exactly, you know, and this clearly hinted at titanium, which means it's ultimate smoking gun proof that this is a synthetic implant. Now, what you see here is really, this thing was a sophisticated strangulator developed, you know, by a weapons company. But this is not what we are measuring at the Belgian University. We are measuring, I think, microchips, so RFID chips. And those you can see when you go to my website. That's exactly what was in that diagram. So in this info pack here, you know, what we are trying to measure is the chip emissions between the chips of a human person, of a human body. Okay.
Radio frequency emissions that are actually generated by these non-consensual implant and devices. And we're doing this, as Katherine already explained, in a controlled environment, in a Faraday. Well, she's right. It's not a cage. It's actually an actual room to be able to block out any frequencies, to actually really show that the frequencies we do measure really come from the body of the person.
Exactly. So when these chips are communicating, as you can see, there are the frequency emissions coming from the chips that are also picked up by the other chips, but there's also communication with cell towers, with Wi-Fi, so external radiation coming in. When you're in a Faraday cage or Faraday room, this is cut off, so this should be minimized, and what you're measuring is the internal. So you can show that it is actually these radio frequencies are coming from the human body, and the human body does not emit in mobile phone frequencies, you know, in Wi-Fi frequencies. If our bodies emitted like Wi-Fi and mobile phone, you would get interference. Your phone could pick it up. It would be crackling when it comes close to your head, but it doesn't. And that's because the body does not emit in the megahertz range. That is all synthetic telecommunication devices. So this is what we are trying to prove.
And just to add to that is that Katherine and I were actually already scanned in the Faraday cage various times. And the if I remember well, we did find frequencies, so that should not be there normally. And if I remember well, they were in the mobile phone range, or I mean, they were, as you showed, in the cell tower range, or cell, what is usually used for mobile phones, if I remember correctly.
Exactly. So I think what we found is that both you and I and all the victims who came, actually we did find frequencies, very unusual frequencies above the background. And then we also had control people, and they had nothing. So it's exactly what we expected. The control group had no emissions, radio frequency emissions, and those people who suspected that they were implanted all did. And it also proved that the gut feeling of the victims is very, very accurate. So of course you feel when you are being accessed, because it has to be said that these chips are not just there for monitoring or communication. They can cause pain. They can be used to torture. They are used mostly to torture. They can be used to rape. They can be used to induce joint pain and mimic, rheumatism and joint problems and stuff like that. And they can do many things, but they can also be implanted in the ears. And a lot of victims complain about the fact that they have non-stop audio communication, and they are being blasted by the non-stop chatter of intelligence agents. Now, we have already, so in the group, Millicent, Dr. Millicent Black, she already has, scans that show that there's radio frequency communication with her chips. And she has already several scans showing that she's being implanted. But I just would like to say, when you hear voices, it's not schizophrenia. It's actually somebody has implanted this military technology covertly. Now, the question is always, how do they implant it? How come, you don't notice the scars? The scars are so fine. They're being done with laser surgery these days. And the laser scalpel is just a little head, okay? So it's very, very quick to do these things. And then the scar, it looks like a scratch from a cat or something like that. So people don't notice. It's being done covertly. Maybe people have a little bit of pain, but then don't think anything further. But then you have this radio communication device implanted, and you can be accessed. And now that we're talking about chips, the voice to skull harassment also works with radio frequency. Okay, and this is why it's so high def. You basically have the receiver of a mobile, like a mobile phone. It's just as high def as a conversation on the mobile phone, but the whole thing works with radio frequency communication with your chip that's implanted in your ear. It's like having a little earpiece, you know. And so what we're also trying to do is measure these chips that are being used for voice to skull, because voice to skull is also one of the major ways of torturing and harassing people by the secret services.
And
so
what I
voice
would like to add is because Katherine just said, well, you know, we were talking about the victims group and the control group. Yes, indeed, we did this in a former scanning already with an organization that I used to be involved with, or, well, I'm still involved with, but it's a little less active now. It's ICATOR, the International Center Against the Abuse of Covered Technologies. And we did a scan here in Belgium in a Frederic and on a different location. And what was interesting is that we first scanned the victims where we found frequencies. The victims were positive in the controlled environment. And we scanned the control group. They had no complaints and it was negative. We could not measure anything. And then we put a victim and a non-victim side by side to each other. And the victim was positive and the control was not. So I think that's definite proof. That says it all. And also here with our scanning now, with the ICATOR scanning, I will also see to it that we'll get a control group so that we actually substantiate the findings that we'll hopefully get, which means that our victims will be showing frequencies that will come up positive. And then I will also bring in a control group where the findings should be negative. So we use the same principle here.
Absolutely. So that would be you know, absolutely excellent. And as I said, we already done it twice with the university. The very first time it was us basically getting to know the professor, and he has never seen anything like this before. And like everybody else, he couldn't imagine that something like this even exists. So, you know, he trusted us and he just went out on a limb. And the first scanning already showed, oh, there's something there. The second scanning, that was Melanie and I, that already indicated that indeed there's something happening, but we couldn't actually finalize the actual protocol in that session. And also what happened is that I wanted to take the little bug detector to show the professor precisely, because the bug detector is very good at picking out the precise location where this is. And on my trip to Belgium, they broke into my flat just before I set off, and they stole 3 of my measuring devices, including the bug detector. And this was something I made public at the time, and the bug detectors were returned to me 2 months later. They were hidden in my suitcase in the attic, where I found them again. But there was extreme targeted sabotage, and people have to understand that what we're doing here, the reason why we get sabotaged and attacked so much is we are now getting the final puzzle pieces of proof to reveal absolutely staggeringly massive criminal military intelligence programs that have been run on the civilian population. And I'm sad to say, you know, a lot of the time on vulnerable people, on single moms, on children, and people who couldn't actually speak up, autistic children and the disabled. And this is absolutely unacceptable. But I also stress that you have to be aware that if you're a high-flying businessman, you know, single, and you hear this, don't think, well, you know, I'm neither a single mom nor disabled, so I'm not a child, so I'm fine. No, the entire point is to implant everybody, and high-flying businessmen are even higher value because you can asset strip them. If you implant these chips and you make them believe that they have got joint pains, or they have a sports injury, or they have rheumatism, or you just implant them and you give them prostate cancer or any other cancer, you can make a lot of money, because these people would pay anything to have the pain stopped and to have the cancer removed. So it is a massive business plan that we're looking at here. And just as much as, you know, I didn't know at the time that I was implanted, my investigation is that I was most likely implanted at the University of Oxford. But I had no idea for years that I was implanted. And I've been running around with these chips in me like everybody else, being completely oblivious. And now I woke up to this absolute nightmare where the more I look, the more I find people everywhere. And this stretches literally all the way from the US to Canada, all the way to Japan, Germany, Poland. We have victims in the UK who have been scanned, you know, Sweden, Belgium, Switzerland, Hungary, everywhere. This is everywhere. These are global programs.
Yeah,
So
it's literally, we have victims in every country of the world. I have a little less data in Black Africa, but maybe we just don't know about this. But certainly in the industrial world, industrialized world, there is, you know, there are victims everywhere. And that also, the fact that this is true already shows, because in most of these countries we have associations. We have associations in the Czech Republic. We have associations in Poland, an association in Poland, even in Russia. We organized the coverharassmentconference.com. Maybe, Katherine, you could show that as well. This was a gathering, a conference we organized to bring all actors concerned together. So doctors, lawyers, scientists, former members of the intelligence community, and of course also the victims, to exchange about this problem and try to find common solutions. We also invited our politicians there. So yeah, you can see all the people that, Professor Ole Johansen from the Karolinska Institute, various journalists, Dr. John Hall, who's one of the spearheads in the fight against this non-consensual experimentation. And yeah, Carl Clark, which is
MI6 whistleblower.
yeah, exactly. So we had also former members of the intelligence agencies.
And also I would say
William Binney, who was
here.
was
Sorry
the
to interrupt. So this is the page for 2015, and just to underline what you said, Melanie, if people click on that link below the title, you're taken to the Covert Harassment Conference in 2014, and that's where Dr. Ronnie Kilder and Bill Binney spoke. So you will find on the program, you will find you know, them listed, and I think also their speeches are up here. So oh yes, here are the videos.
Yeah, all the videos should be there. Yeah.
Exactly.
So and that was actually the last time that we had Dr. Ronnie Kilde. She opened the conference, and as most of us know, is that she died or was actually murdered. As far as I'm concerned, it was murder. 2 or 3 months after that, she died after she had complained about a very, very strong attack with directed energy weapons, and she died from a fast-growing cancer, I think 3 months after this conference. At the conference, she seemed totally fine, and she had no health problems, no apparent health problems whatsoever. And so many of us actually believe that she was murdered because she spoke out too openly, and she knew too many things regarding these technologies and these secret programs.
Absolutely. I completely concur.
Opening the conference.
I completely concur with that assessment, because Dr. Ronnie Kilder, there was also odd stuff about her being murdered, and and this shows you just how high profile this is. So Dr. Ronnie Kilder murdered. You will find an email from her which she sent here, probably murdered. I think this is it. This is the link. So here is the final email from her where she explains what happened to her, you know, it actually indicates that she was murdered by the intelligence agencies, which would also mean that she was hit in Norway. All right. And what this means is that we know who murdered her. It was actually General Kjell Grandhagen. So he was in charge of the secret services in Norway, and he would be directly responsible for her harassment, which went on for years and years and years in Norway. She was actually Finnish. She was the former Finnish chief medical officer, but he would have been responsible for the attacks on her. So, you know, absolutely disgusting. And that man will be dragged in front of a war crimes tribunal. But I also encourage you to watch all the videos by Dr. Ronnie Kilder. And even more so, I would like to point you, sorry, if where's my page? I've lost it. So let me just bring up my website, because I've uploaded a new document by Dr. Ronnie Kilder regarding chips. If you go to my website, stop007.org, and then to FAQ, under the info pack here down the page, you will find a new document, which is the article that Dr. Ronnie Kilder has written in 2000. So it's this one here, under high profile affidavits. you will find the first article. And this is about covert implants in neurotechnology. And this is an article. She was also presenting at the what was it called? The International Conference for Military Medicine in Helsinki, I think the same year. And here's an article where which she published, and highlighted are the most important aspects here. And you can download it and put it straight into your court cases. But she revealed that the very first brain implants were surgically implanted in 1874. 18, not 1974, 1874 in Ohio, and also in Stockholm, Sweden. Okay, so here it's also published that already in 48 there were, you know, books written about this sort of stuff, and she's pointing to a lot of excellent information in this article. So I point you to this one. Please download it. Please put it into your court cases. And most importantly, there's a video where she actually explains this mistake, and this is very important that you see it. So let me go to YouTube. Dr. Ronnie Kilder. It was the BASIS conference. It's the long version. So this is BASIS HD, Dr. Ronnie Kilder part 1. Please click on the video that's 1 hour, 22 minutes or 23 minutes, okay? And then at the end, at this point, at 1 hour and 2 minutes, you will hear her show the documentation she presented at the conference, showing the electromagnetic attack grid, showing that people and, you know, their chips can be accessed from helicopters, from cell towers, everything. But also here she mentions how when she first published this article, the editor corrected. So if you look at this image here, that's her article, and this is the 1876, and the editor corrected it to 1976 because he thought it was a typo. And then Dr. Ronnie Kilder had to say, no, it is 1870, oh, sorry, 74, not 76. So 19th century, 1876. That's when they first implanted the very first brain chip into a woman, okay? So this is how ancient this technology is. It's over 100 years old. We're not talking about anything new. And I guess one of the things I would like to finish off with, to show you the urgency and how acute this is, I happen to have the book by Dr. Hildegard Stanninger, here, Dr. Hildegard Stanninger, called The Global Brain Chip and Mesogens. Okay, so this book is a fairly thin book because it is more like a scientific article that has been printed. And in here, you can actually find images, photographs. This is what a brain chip looks like. It has the technology inside and looks like goo, like organic matter, because it has this cladding. And this is a brain chip that has been taken out of, I think, a victim in the US. This is a nasal implant, okay? And it has, you can see that it comes with an antenna. You know, these things have tenterhooks and antennas to interface with this stuff. So this is not, you know, not sci-fi. And in this book, you'll find exactly the same sort of analyses that I've done in Switzerland being done by Hildegard Stanninger. And I also encourage everybody who has this problem, you know, all these high definition color images of different implants, buy the book and use it for your court cases. You know, you can quote this in court. This is already published science about the existence of these chips. So what we're talking about is not sci-fi. It's already 100 years old. And what we're now doing in Belgium is we're trying to help the poor victims who are desperate for, you know, court-valid expert testimonies and expert evidence that they can use to have their torture stopped. You know, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, and last but not least, maybe Katherine, you could maybe there have been coming new viewers whilst we've been talking. Maybe you can show them one more time how they can donate and help us to make this project a reality.
Absolutely. So and you're right,
help all the members.
People are joining as we're speaking. So for those people who are who've just joined us, you can donate by going to the ICATOR website. You either follow the description below the YouTube video, which links Melanie's website. It's called ICATOR, ICATOR.be, because this is in Belgium, in Europe. And there are two ways to donate. If you're in the US, you can go here and you can click on GoFundMe. And then you get to this page, and here's the link to the donate. And when you click on that, you will get put through to the GoFundMe page itself. And then for those in Europe, I would recommend you either use GoFundMe, or if you want to save the 5% platform fee, especially if you're in the Eurozone, you click on Join Us, and then you can find the ICATOR bank details here. So the bank details should be in the description below this video. But if you're unsure, and if you're nervous that maybe the intelligence agencies modified the bank code in the YouTube description, which can happen, which they have known to sabotage many things, you can always go to the website here and look at the bank transfer details. And this goes to Melanie's charity. This doesn't go to Melanie, this goes to Melanie's charity.
No, no, this is really the ICATOR account. And if some people have questions, just above you see my ICATOR email. So you can email me when you're not sure, or if you have questions, suggestions, ideas, don't hesitate to make them known to us as well. So.
Absolutely. So, oh, sorry, actually, by the way, I've just realized it was, I hope I managed to show the details, because I've just realized I had your video highlighted, but I hope that people could actually see what we were presenting. Hang on, let me check. Yes. So I hope everybody followed this. I'm just having an eye at the, oh yes, I'm just looking at the chat, and somebody just said, where's the best place to get the book? You can get this book off Amazon. That's where I got it from. And you can also order it probably from, your bookshop. It comes with a normal standard ISBN number. And, when you just give the title to any bookshop, if you don't want to go with Amazon and you want to support your local bookshop, I encourage you to do that. And you can order the book, and have it delivered to your local bookshop. So I really recommend that people get this. Now, okay, so people, oh yes, Christopher Howard also recommended Mark Rich's book, The New World War, which is free on his site. And yes, I agree. So people should have a look at that as well, because it explains these attacks. So that's Mark Rich, and it's called The New World War. And okay, so then other questions. Okay, so I'm just scanning through the chat. If you've got any questions that are further up, and I'm not finding them, please post them in the chat now. Otherwise, if you don't have any questions, you can always email us afterwards, and we will answer your questions as we have the time. And meanwhile, I've just realized that one of the perps, an agent account, has just hurled abuse at us again. Can you please also screenshot these instances and put it included in your court cases? Okay, some people say, are some forms of music? Wonder if some music forms can help. And well, I'm not sure. I think the problem is it depends. Okay, if you've got voice to skull, it might help you take your mind off it. But if you're being tortured, and even when you've got voice to skull, they just continue blasting you into your ear canal. So it's extremely, extremely hard. So with directed energy weapon attacks, you can shield. But even as I'm sitting now in a metal bunker, inside a metal shed, because I'm being attacked so much, I find it hard to block the body area network communication. So sitting in here, I just get tortured and raped, just like outside, because having it completely hermetically sealed, you would have to entirely encase yourself in thick metal, and I cannot afford that, So that's the real issue is that these frequencies like Wi-Fi and these mobile phone communication frequencies pass through walls. The frequency actually goes through concrete and brick, okay? And it goes through at intensity 50%. So if you just crank up the power high enough, you still have the same communication, and these chips just need a little bit of communication to start doing what they're doing. So it is extremely hard to block. That's why we have to hurry up.
I just would like to add something, because I'm just getting a communication here from one of our sister organizations in America, People Against Covert Torture and Surveillance International, in short PACS. And I'm a big fan. I had already thought about organizing one myself, of a citizens tribunal. And I'm just getting a communication here saying that there's now an international tribunal for natural justice that has just been set up. It has now been formed in London. as of 20th of April 2018, and it has begun its work. And the main objective seems to be to establish citizens' justice where governments, which have become monolithic and hampered by the infiltration of dark forces, have often become complicit and enabling to heinous atrocities. So this is very interesting. He's actually a citizens, yeah, Katherine is just showing it, tribunal that has formed apparently. And I've also the good news to tell you that one of our colleagues who's with us in the joint investigation team that Katherine has founded is Karen Stewart. She's a former NSA employee, and she informs us that apparently even President Trump has taken notice of our issues, and she was able to reach him via email, and apparently he has replied that he would take care of these issues would be dealt with after the pedophilia situation. So as Katherine told us last time, I believe in January President Trump declared January the month of against human trafficking, or if I remember correctly. So this is clearly an issue of a very modern form of human trafficking. So this, when I read this, this is a very hopeful news, I would say.
That's breaking news. I haven't seen myself the email from Karen. This is absolutely stellar, because it is our colleague Ramola who passed the memorandum to Donald Trump. And please let me just share my screen, because it was such an achievement. So if you go to stop007.org, you will find our past campaigns down here under Burning Down the House of Crime. And the very first campaign that Ramola set up in January here, this was the memo to President Trump. So you can see the memorandum this is the document here that was sent to President Donald Trump on the 25th of January, or this is the newest form, but it was sent to him just after his inauguration. Okay, so I think, yes, here it is. So he was inaugurated on the 20th, and this was sent to him on the 25th. So this was, as soon as he hit office, he just put his stuff down on his desk, and the memorandum from our colleague Ramola D hit his desk. Now, just a few weeks later, 3 weeks later, there's a video here where President Trump vows to fight trafficking, and he calls it that a human trafficking epidemic. That's a quote from this video that is posted here. And that's exactly when people started working on this. And then on the 21st of December, in time for Christmas, the Executive Order 13818 came out, which is an executive order blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuses and corruption. Okay, so you can see it here, and you can see it here on the original, Federal Register. And then down here, what you can see is that this was in December, okay? And in January this year, he declared, as Melanie said, January 2018 as the National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. So you can see it here on his website. This is indeed the case. This is on the White House website. And now I'm absolutely thrilled to hear that our colleague, Karen Melton Stewart, who's a famous NSA whistleblower, has managed to get through to him. I'm absolutely thrilled. And I also do think that this is the order in which things should be dealt with, because the children go first. The children go first. So there's under the underbelly. So we have this tower of corruption and crime. We have got, arms trades, we've got drug running, and we've got all the other, horrific stuff. But then as you come down, you have the human enslavement and the human trafficking, which is what this is for. Human trafficking for arms testing, human sex trafficking, because most of the victims get raped as well. But then below that is an even bigger layer of helpless children being trafficked, sex trafficked, and any other way of trafficking, and sometimes also abused and murdered in large numbers. So I really think that this is the pedophile investigation goes right to the heart of this crime cartel. And, in this big role, I'm absolutely thrilled to hear this. This is really breaking news. I have to look up her email. And, I also want you to know is that the people who are abusing children are the same people who are running these programs. So already the pedophile takedown is already, clawing at this big edifice. And what I would like to say, and this is where the chip scanning comes in, for everybody else, it is so the adults and maybe adults who have children who are not, trafficked in a horrific way through, children homes and stuff like that. If you are implanted, I'm telling you, sadly, your children might be implanted as well. So get on the case. Please do support us. Let's work with this university. Let's get the evidence, and then let's get ready for court. Let's start steaming into court with these bits of evidence, because that is the one last remaining platform that we have. We know that the police doesn't investigate. We know that the intelligence agencies refuse to investigate because they are doing it. And the last platform we have in civil society are really the courts. So please support us in this endeavor. Please donate, and please also know that time is of the essence. Because, for example, Frederic Laroche's case was just shifted from last Wednesday to the 29th of November. And I really would like to use the summer break to start collecting evidence that, he and court cases like his can use as well,
Yeah, me too. And
Absolutely.
with your help, we will achieve that. So
we are almost there.
Thank you very much in advance.
Absolutely.
And remember, it's only 20% more we need, and we have all the funds. Thanks to Anne again and all the other donors. We have already the large part. And if we get 500 euros more, then we are there, and then we'll launch the scanning immediately. That is a promise.
Absolutely.
And welcome to Lucas from Poland as our new member. He just joined, the last that I saw on the member list, and there were a few also that have recently joined. So welcome to all the new members as well. We have somebody from Germany recently joined, I think Hendrik. And Lucas, as I remember, there was Claire from France, and 2 or 3 more. So welcome to all of the new ICATOR members as well. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining the effort. This is really a group effort that we're doing here, and there's power in numbers, and together we're strong, and we will achieve this, and we will get these crimes addressed, and we'll get them stopped.
Absolutely. And then one last question I would like to address from the chat, which I've just spotted. We were asked if we would be willing to set up taking donations in the form of Bitcoin. And right now, the answer is we're not set up to do that yet. So that's the thing. We're not set up to use cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin. Maybe we could do that.
Well, you can donate via OneCoin. That is actually already on our website. Yes.
Oh, hang on. Forgive me. Let me bring it up. I'm so sorry.
It's on the website of ICATOR via OneCoin. If you want to do this, I can put you in touch with one of our colleagues who's dealing with this. You could write to him, and he can guide you how to do that if you want to pay via OneCoin. Bitcoin, as far as I know, is not set up yet. We might be looking into that too, but OneCoin, which is another cryptocurrency, you can already pay us in OneCoin.
Okay, so let me share my screen. Forgive me, Melanie. Yes, of course, I've forgotten. So actually, on the website, stupid me, join us, GoFundMe, OneCoin. Okay, the third link. Here's the whole thing. Sorry, I just haven't used it.
So if you want to pay us in OneCoin, write me an email, drop me an email, and I'll put you in touch with the colleague who's dealing with that, and he will be able to guide you how to do that.
And Melanie's email is here, so it's melanie.vritschan.icator@gmail.com. It's listed here under Join Us, and it's also should be listed in the description below this YouTube video. So that should be all fine. Okay, so that's it from us. Melanie, do you have any last words?
No. Again, thank you in advance for all your kind support. And thanks again to our donors, and welcome to our new members. And we will be back soon with more news, and hopefully we'll be able to tell you then that now the scanning is going ahead, that we have sufficient funds, and already very soon to be able to give you a date when it's actually going on.
Absolutely. So I also would like to say that it was one of the most encouraging things to receive the donation from Anne that really pushed us almost there. And we are now really excited because we are so close to actually launch into this. You know, we are going to contact the university already as soon as possible and start setting this up. And, you know, so this thing is going ahead and it's rolling. We're just asking you, please, please, please give us another push so that, you know, also join Anne, you know, let not her be the only one who's pushing this forward. There are so many victims out there. And also take the courage to go out, talk to your neighbors about this, because we're telling you this is global. This is the biggest problem humanity has ever faced. Okay, we are all together now, all around the world, from Japan all the way to the US, Canada, Australia, the same problem here in Europe as well. So, you know, have the courage to talk about it and have the courage to invite others who maybe don't think that they are affected by this program to also contribute. Okay. Because like me, a few years ago, I already had these chips, but I never knew. And now I discovered that I've been chipped all along. And the strange things that were happening in my life actually had a, you know, bigger business plan behind them. So thank you very, very much for listening. And please spread the video. Please, you know, also spread it so that victims can take courage. There is help at hand. We are all together now. We're solving these problems and we're moving forward. So thank you to everybody who supports us, and we'll be there hopefully next week with an update of how things are going. So thank you very, very much, and I wish you all the best, and bye for now.
All the best, yeah. Good night.